So as of this morning, we've got a little more data, and I think I can probably say with a pretty good deal of conviction that this is probably not only just a daily cycle low here in the dollar, but this is probably an intermediate cycle low as well. That would imply that the dollar is at least going to give us a counter trend bounce, something longer than these, 7-8 day bounces that we've been getting here. This should be a 4 to 6 week bounce in the dollar and a 4 to 6 week decline in the euro. Remember in yesterday's video, I drew that resistance line in at it's between like 120, 121. You can see here price tried 3 times to get above that and just couldn't do it. And that's kind of what I expected. It just seemed like too big of a resistance zone to be able to get through that on the first try. So I think we're going to have to back off, produce an intermediate degree decline. You can see that this intermediate cycle is already very, very mature, but it is right translated. This I believe we're on week 37 if I'm not mistaken. So this is a strongly right translated intermediate cycle. So we should, what I think is probably going to happen, at some point we're going to break this daily cycle low. That'll give us the failed daily cycle. So that's one requirement that needs to happen. And I tend to think we're probably going to produce, once this daily cycle bottoms, I suspect we're going to probably have one more daily cycle down before the euro completes this intermediate decline. So I think we're going to probably see something that looks similar to this. Now these aren't actually targets that I've got here, but more just the pattern of the decline that I'm looking for. So again, at some point, price has to break below this daily cycle low. We need a failed daily cycle. Probably a good chance it does it during this daily cycle. We're still not exceptionally deep into this cycle, and they have been running upwards of 40 days. So good chance we could break this during this daily cycle. Maybe we get a marginal undercut, and then we get a bounce out of a daily cycle low, and then we get one more left translated daily cycle that takes us down into a final intermediate cycle low. But because this intermediate cycle is so strongly right translated, we really shouldn't come anywhere near this low down here. This should be a final bear market bottom, and this should only be a counter trend move in a new cyclical bull market. So let me put some Fibonacci retracements on here, and maybe we can get an idea of what to look for as a final bottom. So I would think at the very least we probably have to go to the 38% retracement. So you can see that's going to be at about 114. Outside chance maybe that it could get to the 50% retracement. But in a new bull market, which is what I think this is, I would say the odds are greater for the 38%. Okay, so another possibility, we might have to break the intermediate trend line. The problem is the trend line's pretty flat, and I don't know that we're going to drop far enough to break that trend line at that point. Maybe a better, more realistic trend line might be here. That might be doable, but both of these might be a little bit. Both these trend lines might just be a little bit too flat to be achieved in a new cyclical bull market, and this would be the first intermediate advance out of in a new bull market. So it's possible that the counter trend move won't go deep enough to break either one of these trend lines. All right, so let's get rid of that. And now here's the gold chart, and I tried to warn people that this was a strong possibility because of the way the currencies were setting up. Most of the perma bulls, of course, didn't listen to me, and now they're paying the price. The currency cycles have just been so warped by central bank interventions that it's not surprisingly going to affect the metals cycles. So at this point, it's tough for me to say whether or not this was just a 2, or I guess it would be a 3-day because it topped yesterday, the actual top, a 3-day bounce out of a daily cycle low, and now gold is in an extreme left translated pattern. I'll tell you right now, we're going to see the bulls on every down day here. They're going to say, today's a good day to buy. They did the same thing during this intermediate decline, and I guess if your time horizon is very, very long, then sure, any day is a good day to buy. But I don't think we're going to get our intermediate bottom until the euro has finished its counter trend correction and the dollar has finished its counter trend bounce. And that's probably, like I said, probably going to take at least one more daily cycle in the euro. So it's probably unlikely that those counter trend moves are going to be finished until mid to late October at the earliest. So I really doubt, other than just temporary short-term bounces, I really doubt gold is going to give us a good strong intermediate bottom, something that's very tradable, something similar to this and similar to this, until mid to late October, maybe even early in November. So unless you're just trying to trade a very short term, or unless you have a very long time horizon, it's just probably going to be too early. Just view this right now as the same thing that happened here when gold was moving down into that intermediate cycle low. View this the same way. This is probably an intermediate cycle decline, and it's probably not going to finish until the euro finds a final intermediate cycle low, the yen finds a final intermediate cycle low, and the dollar finds a final intermediate cycle top. And let me show you the yen before I sign off here. You remember I showed you this chart the other day, this intermediate trend line, and I noted that the yen would have to at least break this trend line. It's doing so this morning, but this is not done yet, because this was the final daily cycle low. So you can see we're in a left translated cycle. Cycle topped fairly quickly on day, what is that, day 5 or 6. So we've got a lot of days left yet here before the yen is going to be due to put in that cycle bottom. It's probably going to have to break below this daily cycle low as well. Again, doubtful that this will end until mid to late October, maybe even early November. So if you want to try and get in at a tradable bottom for gold, I think you need to wait to the end of next month, and that's the point at which we could finish these counter trend moves in the currencies and finish the intermediate decline in gold. So I tried to warn everybody this was very, very likely in play, the short cycle scenario in gold, and at this point I think I have enough confirmation from the currencies to suggest that it is in fact going to play out.